I was once the kind of guy who believed family meant everything. For 15 years, I poured every ounce of energy into being the best husband to Stephanie and father to Tyler and Emma that I could be. I worked overtime, saved for college funds, and showed up to every baseball game and school play. I thought they were my world, and I was theirs. Then came that rainy Tuesday when I heard the truth straight from their mouths. I was not their biological father, and apparently that meant I was not their father at all. So I did what any self-respecting man would do. I packed up my truck and left them behind. Before I tell you how my family destroyed everything I believed in and what happened when they came crawling back, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Hit subscribe if you want more stories about standing your ground when the world turns against you. My story starts like many others, with humble beginnings in rural Missouri. I was raised by my single mother who worked 2 jobs to keep a roof over our heads. I never knew my father. He split when I was still in my mother's womb, leaving nothing behind but his last name. Maybe that's why family became so important to me. I swore that if I ever had kids, I would be there for every moment. I met Stephanie when I was 23. I had just finished my apprenticeship at Wilson Construction, where her father was a project manager. She was everything I was not. College educated from a stable, 2-parent household, and ambitious. She was working in the office for the summer before starting her marketing career. When our eyes met across the dusty construction office, something clicked. At least that's what I thought. Our romance moved quickly. Too quickly, looking back. Within 6 months, we were married in a small ceremony with just close family and friends. I remember standing at the altar thinking I was the luckiest man alive. Stephanie was beautiful, smart, and for some reason she had chosen me, a guy with dirt permanently embedded under his fingernails and no fancy degree. When Tyler was born just 8 months after our wedding, I never questioned the timing. Premature babies run in my family, I told myself. The moment they placed that tiny bundle in my arms, I fell completely in love. Here was this perfect little human that I would protect with my life. 2 years later, Emma arrived and our family felt complete. My little girl with bright eyes who looked up at me like I hung the moon. I threw myself into providing for them. I worked 60-hour weeks, taking every overtime shift available. I climbed from apprentice to journeyman, to foreman, through sheer determination. Every promotion, every raise, went straight to making their lives better. When an opportunity came up for a management position that required traveling, I turned it down. Being home every night for dinner and bedtime stories mattered more than a bigger paycheck. After years of saving, we bought a modest 3-bedroom home in a neighborhood with good schools. It wasn't fancy, but it was in a safe area where the kids could ride bikes and have friends over. I spent weekends fixing things, building a treehouse in the backyard oak tree, painting Emma's room her favorite shade of purple. My one indulgence was my Ford F-150 truck. I saved for 3 years, putting away a little from each paycheck until I could buy it outright. No payments. That truck represented everything I had worked for. Freedom, security, accomplishment. Stephanie rolled her eyes when I washed it every Saturday. But that truck was the only thing I ever bought just for me. Life seemed good on the surface. Tyler grew into a talented baseball player, and I never missed a game. I cheered louder than any other parent when he pitched his first no-hitter at 12. Emma was our little scholar, bringing home straight A's and winning the science fair 2 years running. I might not have understood all her projects, but I stayed up late helping her glue solar system models and grow crystals. The first signs of trouble were subtle. As the kids entered their teen and preteen years, I noticed changes. Tyler stopped asking me to play catch. Emma no longer wanted my help with her homework, saying I would not understand the advanced material. Stephanie joined a book club with women from the country club side of town, coming home with comments about our kitchen needing an update or how my work boots tracked mud on her clean floors. Last summer, we took a vacation to California. Stephanie had insisted, though it stretched our budget thin. I remember sitting on the beach, watching my family laughing together, feeling strangely like an outsider. Stephanie kept pointing out other families, other houses, other lives, with a wistful, what-if tone in her voice. On the drive back, she made a comment that should have been my warning. "Do you ever wonder how different life would be if we had made other choices?" she asked, while the kids were asleep in the back seat. I thought she meant career choices, or maybe where we lived. I had no idea she was talking about choosing a different husband, a different father for her children. It was a Thursday in October when my world collapsed. A heavy rainstorm had flooded the construction site, and the foreman sent everyone home early. I was looking forward to surprising the family, maybe taking them out for pizza, since I rarely got home before 6. I pulled into the driveway around 3:30, noticing Stephanie's car was already there. The kids would be home from school, too. I entered quietly through the side door, thinking I might surprise them. Instead, I was the one who got surprised. I heard voices from the kitchen, hushed but intense. I paused in the hallway, not meaning to eavesdrop, but something in their tones made me stop. "Why did you marry him, if he is not even our real dad?" Emma's voice thick with tears. My heart stopped. I froze, one hand still on the doorframe. "It is complicated, Emma." Stephanie's voice was tired, resigned. I was already pregnant with Tyler when I met Griffin. James had broken things off and I was scared. Griffin was stable, reliable. He fell in love with me so quickly. "But what about me?" Emma asked. I came later. A pause. I held my breath. James came back briefly. We had a moment of weakness. When I found out I was pregnant again, Griffin never questioned it. He just assumed you were his. I felt physically ill, like someone had punched me in the gut repeatedly. 15 years of my life. All lies. That explains why we do not have anything in common, Tyler's voice. Now cold and dismissive in a way no 14-year-old should be. He does not get me at all. He is so embarrassing, Emma added. All my friends have dads with real careers, not guys who wear hard hats and talk about concrete. I know it is difficult, Stephanie said softly. But Griffin has provided for us. And now that James is back in the picture and doing well financially, we have options. But we need to handle this delicately. I backed away silently, making it to the guest bathroom before I threw up. My hands shook so badly I could barely turn on the faucet to rinse my mouth. I slipped out the side door the way I came in and sat in my truck for nearly an hour, trying to process what I had heard. That night I pretended to work late, finally coming home after the kids were in bed. Stephanie barely looked up from her phone when I entered. I slept in the guest room, claiming a backache. Sleep never came. Instead, I lay awake, replaying moments from our life together. The doctor's appointment, when Tyler was 2, when the pediatrician mentioned his blood type with a curious expression, I had dismissed it. Stephanie's insistence that Emma's artistic talent came from her side of the family, though no one in her family showed any such inclination. The growing list of differences between myself and my children that had been explained away so casually over the years. At 3 in the morning, I got up and went to Stephanie's home office. I had never gone through her things before, but now I had to know everything. In a password-protected folder on her computer that took me mere minutes to crack, I found years of emails between her and James. Their correspondence had renewed about 8 months ago. From what I could piece together, James had recently divorced his second wife and was now a successful real estate developer in Chicago. The emails became increasingly intimate with references to the kids and their futures. Plans were being made. Plans that did not include me. At breakfast the next morning, I watched my family through new eyes. These strangers who had been the center of my universe for 15 years. I waited until the kids left for school before confronting Stephanie. "Who is James?" I asked simply. Her eyes widened momentarily before her expression hardened. "How do you know about James? I heard you yesterday." "With the kids. I know everything." She did not deny it. Did not even look ashamed. "I was going to tell you. Eventually." "Tell me what?" "That for 15 years you have been lying to me. That I have been raising another man's children while you, what, waited for a better option. Do not be dramatic, Griffin. You have had a good life." "We have had a good life. Good for who?" My voice was shaking. "You let me believe they were mine. You let me love them as if they were mine. And what changed? You still love them. Do not you? This does not change anything. But it changed everything." And the coldness in her eyes told me she knew that. "James wants to reconnect with the kids. He has a right to know them. And what am I supposed to do? Just step aside?" "Of course not. You will always be part of their lives. But they deserve to know their real father." The word real cut through me like a knife. "The kids are excited about meeting him. He has a penthouse in Chicago, a vacation home in Florida. He can give them opportunities we never could." It became clear then. I was expected to continue providing financially, to keep the household running while being demoted from father to something less. A roommate. A provider. A footnote. I left for work without another word, but instead of going to the site, I drove straight to my friend Dave's law office. Dave had handled my mother's estate when she passed 3 years ago. I trusted him completely. You need to think strategically here, Griffin, Dave advised after hearing my story. Your name is on the birth certificates. Legally, you are their father. But if you want to contest that, we can. Either way, you need to protect yourself. I took his advice. Over the next 2 weeks, I made careful preparations while maintaining the appearance of normalcy at home. I secured my personal financial documents and opened a new bank account at a different bank. I documented all our assets and consulted with Dave about my legal obligations. I took my accumulated vacation time without telling Stephanie, using the days to find an apartment that would accept a month-to-month lease. My coworker Miguel helped me move essentials when Stephanie and the kids were out of the house. Just clothes, personal items, family photos, and important documents. Nothing that would be missed immediately. All the while, I maintained the same routine at home. Dinner with the family, helping with homework, watching TV together. But now I noticed how Tyler barely spoke to me, how Emma avoided eye contact. I caught Stephanie texting, constantly smiling at her phone, in a way she had not smiled at me in years. I overheard more conversations. Plans for a trip to Chicago to meet James. Discussions about private schools he might pay for. Tyler talking excitedly about the boat James owned. The morning I left was ordinary. I made breakfast like I always did on Saturdays. Pancakes for Emma, eggs, and bacon for Tyler, coffee for Stephanie. I ate silently while they discussed weekend plans that did not include me. After breakfast, I went upstairs and packed the last of my things. Just what indisputably belonged to me. My clothes, my tools, the watch my mother had given me before she died, the photo albums from my childhood. When I came downstairs with my bags, the look on Stephanie's face was almost worth the pain of the past 2 weeks. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Leaving. You cannot just leave. What about the mortgage, the bills, the kids' expenses? Not what about us? What about the money?" "I will fulfill my legal obligations," I said, repeating Dave's phrasing. Nothing more. The kids had emerged from their rooms, watching with wide eyes. "Where will you go?" Emma asked, the first direct question she had asked me in weeks. "Does it matter?" I responded, looking her in the eyes. "I am not your real dad, remember?" Her face crumpled, but Tyler put his arm around her protectively, defending her from me, as if I were the villain. "You are abandoning your family," Stephanie hissed. "No, I am leaving a house where I am no longer wanted. There is a difference." I walked out to my truck and loaded my bags. As I slid into the driver's seat, Stephanie came running out. "You cannot do this." "What about the house payment due next week? What about Tyler's baseball tournament fees? What about the credit card bill?" I started the engine. "Contact my lawyer. All communication goes through him now." The next few weeks were a blur of legal meetings and paperwork. Stephanie called constantly until I blocked her number. The kids sent occasional texts that seemed clearly dictated by their mother, asking when I was coming home, saying they missed me. I did not respond. Through Dave, I arranged for the minimum required child support to be automatically deposited into a new account. I removed myself from all other household bills. I took only half of our modest savings, though I had contributed far more over the years. The apartment was depressing, but I was rarely there. I threw myself into work, taking on extra projects and weekend shifts. My boss noticed and offered me something unexpected. A promotion to regional manager, overseeing projects across 3 states. The catch was relocating to Phoenix. I accepted without hesitation. Arizona was far enough away to make a clean break. I put in my notice at the apartment and prepared to leave Missouri behind. Before I left, Stephanie requested a meeting through Dave. Against his advice, I agreed to see her one last time at a coffee shop near his office. She looked different, thinner, stressed. The confident woman who had dismissed our marriage so easily seemed diminished somehow. "James has been in and out of the picture for years," she admitted after an awkward silence. "He would reappear, make promises, then vanish again. I always kept it from you. Why tell me this now?" "Because you should know that he is already pulling back. The kids met him 3 times. He canceled the Chicago trip. He has a new girlfriend. That is not my problem anymore. Griffin, I made a mistake. We can work this out." I almost laughed. There is no we anymore, Stephanie. In the end, I agreed to sell her my half of the house for significantly less than its value on the condition that she sign papers acknowledging I would have no obligation beyond basic child support. It was worth the financial loss to be free. 2 days later, I drove my truck to Arizona with everything I owned packed in the bed. I bought a small ranch property outside Phoenix with my share of the house sale and savings. It needed work, which was perfect. I needed something to pour myself into. For 6 months, I spoke to no one from my old life except Dave, who handled the formal divorce proceedings. I rebuilt the ranch house with my own hands. I adopted a dog from the local shelter, a big mutt named Ranger, who became my constant companion. I joined a local recreational baseball league and made new friends who knew nothing about my past. I reconnected with my estranged sister in Tucson, rebuilding a relationship that had fallen away during my marriage. I started fishing again, something I had loved as a teenager but had abandoned in the busy years of raising a family. Slowly, I began to rediscover who Griffin Reynolds was outside of being a husband and father. It was painful but necessary work. Almost exactly 1 year after I left Missouri, I was replacing fence posts on the property when a car I did not recognize came up the dusty driveway. I shielded my eyes against the Arizona sun, then froze in disbelief. Tyler stepped out of the passenger side. A man I did not recognize was driving. Tyler stood awkwardly by the car until I nodded, then slowly approached. He had grown at least 3 inches. His voice had deepened when he finally spoke. "Hi. How did you find me?" I asked, setting down my post-hole digger. "Uncle Dave." I begged him for weeks. He finally agreed if I promised not to tell Mom. The man in the car honked and waved before driving off. "My friend's dad, Tyler," explained. "They are on a college tour at Arizona State. I convinced them to make a detour. I invited him inside." The house was simple but clean. Tyler sat at my kitchen table looking around curiously. "Nice place. It works for me." An awkward silence stretched between us. "James bailed," he finally said. 3 months after you left. Turns out his business was failing. He was hoping Mom had access to your money." I said nothing, waiting. "Mom went a little crazy after you left, spending money we did not have. We got a foreclosure notice last month." His voice cracked slightly. "She had to take a second job. We might have to move to an apartment." "I have been making the support payments," I said defensively. "I know. That is not why I am here." He took a deep breath. "I came to apologize. That I had not expected. I was awful to you. We all were. I got caught up in this fantasy of having a rich, cool dad who would give me everything I wanted. But James was never there when it mattered. He never came to a single baseball game. He forgot my birthday." Tyler's eyes filled with tears. "You never missed anything. Not one game. Not one school event. When I pitched that no-hitter when I was 12, you were so proud you could not stop smiling for days. I remembered that game like it was yesterday. The memory still brought a smile despite everything. Emma is failing 3 classes," he continued. "She started hanging out with a bad crowd. She misses you, but she is too ashamed to admit it. Tyler, I cannot just come back. I know. I am not asking for that. Mom made her choices." He sounded much older than 15. "But I was hoping maybe I could call you sometimes. Maybe visit during summer break." Something broke and mended in my heart simultaneously. I would like that. Before he left, I showed him around the property, introduced him to Ranger, who immediately took to him. We talked about baseball and his hopes to play in college. "Would it be okay if Emma called you?" he asked as we waited for his ride to return. "Yes," I said without hesitation. That night I received a video call from Emma. She looked smaller than I remembered, her eyes red from crying. "Can I still call you Dad?" she asked in a small voice. "Even if you are not my biological father." Always, I told her, my own voice, thick with emotion. Over the next few months, we rebuilt our relationships long distance. I helped Tyler research baseball scholarships at Arizona colleges. Emma slowly brought her grades back up with my encouragement during our weekly video calls. Stephanie tried to reconcile several times, calling when the kids were with friends, suggesting she could move to Arizona. I refused. Some bridges cannot be rebuilt once burned. Instead, I found an unexpected connection with my neighbor Catherine, a widowed rancher, who showed me the ropes of desert living. Our friendship developed slowly into something more meaningful. She had no interest in rushing into anything, which suited me perfectly. When Tyler graduated high school the following year, I flew back to Missouri to attend the ceremony. I sat in the back, but the smile he gave me when he spotted me in the crowd was worth every painful memory. He enrolled at Arizona State on a partial baseball scholarship. I helped with the rest. Emma visited during school breaks, bringing her sketch pad and capturing the desert landscapes. The girl who once thought I was embarrassing now proudly introduced me as her dad to new friends. I realized eventually that walking away was the best thing I could have done, not just for me, but for all of us. It forced everyone to confront the truth and make their choices openly. It allowed me to rebuild my life on solid ground, rather than lies. Being a father, I learned, had never been about biology. It had been about showing up day after day for 15 years. About pancakes on Saturdays, and cheering from the bleachers, and checking homework. About love that continues even when it is not returned. I did not regain the family I thought I had. Instead, I gained something more honest. 2 young adults who chose to have me in their lives knowing the full truth. And I gained myself back in the process. Have you ever had to walk away from people who took you for granted, only to have them realize your true value when you were gone? Share your story in the comments below. Do not forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear more stories about finding strength after betrayal. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the most rewarding new beginnings. Thank you for listening, and remember, your self-respect is never up for negotiation.